This is Michelle from TazLady71. I just want to show you the Better Press from Spellbinders with different inks. Already know I'm going to try Hero Arts ink and a few different other ones along the way. And I've also made some mistakes, as you can see. But it's always a learning curve. I like to try to do things live, but I have to do a voiceover since my audio did not work very well. Here I am lining up the Better Press using watercolor paper, and I had difficulties with the tape, so I tried the strawberry ink from Spellbinders made by Ranger. It takes me a few seconds to get out of the package, but it's always a learning curve. Here I'm using Hero Arts ink with the Spellbinders Better Press. You tap and twist is what I've been showing through many videos I've learned from. It's a learning curve because I'm using a bigger ink pad. As you see, I got a little bit of ink on around the edge of the die. I'm doing this live because I like to learn from my mistakes. I'm picking some watercolor paper out now and sticking it. I end up changing tapes and using the purple tape to make sure it sticks to the plate. I have some difficulties with my audio, that's why I have to do a voiceover. I noticed right then that it wasn't sticking, so I decided to change some tapes. And I had to adjust my die a little bit because it was over the edge because I was trying to do an A4 card size. And it's very strong magnets on the Better Press, so it holds the dies in very well. Here I'm selecting some watercolor paper with the Hero Arts ink, Intense Black. I had to change tapes because I didn't want it to fall off. So I'm touching the paper right to the plate. Flip it over. And the magnets are very strong. I noticed it wasn't taping very well, so there you go again. It's a learning curve, so I used some of the purple tape. Here I go, pressing the thing. I added 2 shims as I'm using a big shot. If I use my Spellbinders 6, I probably wouldn't have to use these shims. Crank it through slowly. There's no need to rush. And here's the reveal, not review. Very impressed. I love the way it turned out. I'm very impressed. Here I'm trying the Simon Hurley's ink. I had some difficulties with this ink. It is a learning curve, as it's a water-based ink. So I touch my paper. I'm using watercolor paper again. And in between takes, I did clean the plates with some archival ink cleaner. As you see, this is a very fresh ink pad, so it made a big mess, and it will definitely affect my press, I believe. Here I go. I touched the paper in again, grabbed a couple of shims to place on top. Extra shims for extra pressure. Cranking it slow again through my big shot. With this ink, I learned it was a big learning curve because it's a very juicy ink pad. As you see, I got some ink around the edges. I didn't have my Tombow eraser, so I couldn't fix it. As you can see, I was pointing to the big ink. So now I wipe it off with a baby wipe, which I attached some archival cleaner to, trying to clean up the excess ink. Then I figured I'd try doing it again. Got my handy dandy, very inky microfiber cloth. I'm going to try the triple berry again. I was trying to see if I can stamp it, press it again in the same spot, but my paper did move. So I decided to try a new piece of paper with the Simon Hurley triple berry ink. It's good to make sure your paper is well secured with the tape that comes with it, or I use the purple tape from Thermoweb. Here I go, inking up again with the triple berry. I love Simon Hurley's inks. They're very juicy, but I think because you can use it for watercoloring, I think it doesn't go very well in the Better Press from my personal experience. I think I might use it to watercolor with. Here I go, quickly going around the edge, picking up the excess ink so it doesn't carry over onto the press. As I say, it's a learning curve, and I'm doing this live to show you from my mistakes. Oops, there I did an accidental press, and you actually will see that press after the reveal. Unfortunately, that's a mistake. We all learn from them. Here I go, putting through the big shot with the shims that came with it. You crank very slowly and steady when you use the big shot or the Spellbinders 6, whatever machine you have will use. And here is the reveal with the Simon Hurley triple berry ink. This is when I decided, hey, let's see if I can try stamping again. You think it's going to work? Do I do it? Do I decide? Yep. I went a hold and re-inked, and I realized I must have moved when I inked. But hey, it's all about learning and having fun. There I go, inking again. Cleaning off the edges around the thing. I can understand now why Spellbinders are using mini inks. You don't have that much of a mess. And with Simon Hurley's being a watercolor ink, it's very juicy. Here I go again, using some watercolor paper. And using the same one from before, seeing if I can repress it from a mistake. Put 2 more shims on, put it through the big shot again. Slow cranking, slow and steady is the best. We all learn from our mistakes, and this is one of the mistakes I learned from. Here's a review from the second repress with the Simon Hurley's Triple Berry ink. See, it got double ink there on the edge. But otherwise, it didn't stamp out too bad. Like, I was very impressed with it. It's trial and error. We all learn from our mistakes. That's using the Simon Hurley ink. Here I'm trying the Memento ink with the Spellbinders Press. Memento ink is always my good go-to ink for when I do use alcohol markers. As you notice, big pads always make a mess, so I'm wiping around the edges. I spray a little bit of a cleaner on the cloth to help clean it. Here I do my first press with the Memento ink. Add 2 shims. Slow and steady through the big shot is the best results for cranking. And here's the reveal. Let's see how it turns out. The magnets are very strong. It gave me a very, very crisp press. I was impressed with the Memento ink. I always am when I stamp with it. And using the battery press, I gave it a thumbs up. There, I've got some more cardstock. Then I'm giving it quick cleaning. I use a little bit of dab of alcohol ink on my microfiber cloth to help clean. I know my dyes are stained right now, but right now I don't really care because they will last me long anyways. Now, here is the big test. I am trying my old Stampin' Up! Cocoa ink. I've had this ink pad for years and it's still juicy. Look how juicy it is. It's so juicy when I stamp and twist it, dab and twist it, that I make sure I take a cloth and go around the edges, because I know that will transfer. I take a look at it. Yep, gotta grab my cloth and quickly damp some of the excess juicy ink off. Here I go. Oop, there, I learned that from a mistake. That will definitely carry over. So I flip it over, I think, to the other side. If not, you'll see the mistake. That's why you got to make sure you use very sticky tape when you do the Better Press. Learn from my mistakes. There again, 2 more shims. And slowly cranking through my big shot. And here is the review. Let's see how it turns out. I think it turned out pretty good. It wasn't too bad. As you can see, a little bit brown from when I accidentally put the paper down. Next time, use the other side or a new piece of cardstock. I love the ink so much, I decided to try it again with this very juicy Stampin' Up! Cocoa ink pad that I've had for years in my stash. I make sure I wipe up the ink with a microfiber cloth. Because I know that would transfer over when I do the press. This is a live recording with a voiceover again, because my audio did not work very well. Here I go. I'm using Spellbinders cardstock this time, and you notice I didn't line it up very good, so that probably will affect the review. So far, I'm very impressed with this machine. I can't wait to make future cards. There I go, slow cranking through the machine. And here's the reveal. It turned out pretty good. You can see where I accidentally pushed down with the ink. Not too bad. I can really see why Spellbinders made their own formula with ink pads. I think they turn out good. As you see, I got some ink there on the edge. But still, I'm still impressed with this machine. I'm looking forward to making some more cards and all that stuff. And maybe next time we can do an actual card.